Hi there, it's Nicole here today, and I'm so excited to share this card featuring new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant November 2017 release. I'm featuring today the new Frame Tags Hug It Out dies. Awesome, awesome dies, perfect for framing up images. In addition to that, and the greeting hugs comes from that as well, I am using the new lovely Piggies. So cute, adorable, perfect for Valentine's Day, spring. I know we're all getting ready for Christmas here, and it seems kind of far off, but it will be here before you know it. New Valentine's and love themed products are going to start showing up all over the place. What's awesome about these is even though it could be for Valentine's Day, my card is really geared more as a kind of thank you type of card. It could work for Valentine's, love, and beyond. I stamped my images on Bristol Smooth cardstock with black ONYX VersaFine ink, and then I'm coloring them in with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I purposely picked these because I knew I wanted to use these particular pink and red color combinations for my card. Instead of going the more cutesy, traditional, I guess, color route with my pinks and reds, I decided to go for a little bit more of the deeper colors, a little bit more of the rose type of colors with my color choices, and that includes my background colors. So I went ahead and die cut those with the coordinating Lovely Piggies dies. I also die cut the large frame. I kept the inside rectangle opening, and then I used the larger of the two stitched rectangle squares that come in the set and die cut these from Bristol Smooth cardstock. Then I'm adding Tattered Rose Distress ink to the entire thing. In fact, I added a little post-it tape to the back of these to hold them together while I inked them up. Now, I don't use Tattered Rose very often, and this is one of those examples where I was like, why do I not use either this or the Aged Mahogany, the two colors I'm using today? Because it really just kind of drove home the fact that these are beautiful colors. They might not be my normal go-to colors, but for this particular card and for the Zig marker colors I chose for the images, these colors work perfectly, and I just really loved how it turned out. I concentrated the majority of the color along the bottom edge and lightened my hand as I went up, spritzed everything with water from a distress sprayer, and then blotted it dry with a paper towel. Adds just a tiny bit of distressing. It's a nice light color, so it's not going to be a really bold distressing here where the water or the ink wicks away where the water touches it. It's just really light. I've also taken a scrap piece of white cardstock that's attached to Fun Foam with Stick It that I had just laying there and die cut the word hugs from that so I can have a dimensional greeting. This is where I'm using the Aged Mahogany Distress ink to add color to this die cut, and this is that rosy color. So this very much is the color that, or I wanted it to appear to be the color that I used for the hearts on my card. And I really want the word hugs to stand out against this soft peachy pink background. I love die cutting my words from white cardstock and then inking them up with whatever color works for the design that I am creating. On a scrap piece of black cardstock now, I'm going to use a small sentiment phrase from the new BOTANIC Thanks stamp set that reads, "You're the absolute best." So my entire greeting is going to read, "Hugs, you're the absolute best." I think this really works great for a thank you type of card. I'll stamp that with white or Versamark ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder, and then trim this into a nice little thin strip. Always one of my favorite ways to add a sentiment to a card is on black cardstock with white embossing. Now this little trio of hearts here doesn't actually have a coordinating die, at least not that I saw. There's lots of little dies, but I don't think there's one for this. So I went ahead and stamped this directly on the background and colored it. And I was really pleasantly surprised because the background's so light, I was able to do that really easily. I also die cut the cute little partial die cut heart from the die collection down in the bottom right corner of that panel. I'm also going to just flip this over now and remove my Post-it tape that I was temporarily using to hold these together. And then I want to use these just as kind of a guide to adhere that square directly to my background. This is very much an inlay style, with the exception that my frames are going to be slightly popped up. There's not any additional layers or anything like that. Just these two outer frames are going to be slightly higher than the square that's adhered directly onto the card base. To pop these up, I am going to back the two frames with some foam tape. And in fact, I'm holding the two frames together with the foam tape without adding any extra adhesive. This is one of my favorite things to do when doing an inlay style card. And it works great if you want to adhere multiple frames together to create a dimensional frame. I'm being careful not to add any adhesive back behind that little partially cut heart because I want those two little flaps to flip up, and I want to add a little color back behind those, a contrasting color, so that it really defines that heart on the front of the card. But I want the rest of the panel to be popped up. So there is what it's going to look like. So super cute. I'm going to just take my ink blending tool for aged mahogany and add a little swirl of red there in the bottom corner. It doesn't matter how messy it is because we're never going to see it. Go ahead and peel off the backing paper for my frame, and then I can pop that frame in place on my card. This is a really clean and simple design, but it has some great ideas that hopefully can translate into lots of different cards for you. These frames can be used in so many ways. I love frames that have multiple uses. You could use the small little squares and maybe do a little trio of squares in the center of this panel instead of one big square, or use a combination, or maybe do a whole bunch of these little hearts all over the place and pop a different color behind each one. Rainbow color comes to mind just right off the bat. I think that would be super, super cute. So many great ways to use this. I love frame dies. They are an invaluable tool in our card making arsenal. Went ahead and attached my little piggies right there inside the little square frame. I'm going to add my dimensional hugs word. I'm going to put some foam adhesive just on the two ends of my little sentiment strip, since part of it overlaps something that is already dimensional and I don't want it to pop up kind of weird in the middle. And that's going to overlay my scripty die cut word. Then I've got a little glossy accents here, and I want to add a nice glossy finish to my hearts. And I did go ahead and add the glossy accents before I finished my card because at this point I thought maybe I was done. Sometimes I step back after it looks like the card is finished and I reevaluate, and I really felt like I needed a couple more hearts. So I looked through my Mama Elephant dies, our die collections, and I took a heart from the Lafayette tags and the Rainbow High tag collection and just inked up a little scrap of paper with that aged mahogany and die cut hearts from that and adhered them to the background. And then I added glossy accents to them, which really makes that color pop and blends nicely with the colored hearts from the little piggy image. I'm going to add glossy accents to the little pop-up heart there as well. Thanks for joining me today for this Hug It Out Frames card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.